Welcome back, kindergarten scientists. This is Mrs. Miller with lesson 2 of our unit on matter. In our last lesson, we changed a liquid into a solid. Do you remember how we made ice cream? And boy, was that delicious. Well, today we'll be exploring this question. Can temperature change the state of matter? Can you remind me again, what are the 3 states of matter? See if you can name them across your fingers. Ready, set, go. Okay, time's up. Let's see if you got them. Solid, liquid, and gas. Did you get all 3? Way to go, kindergartners. Annie and Moby would like to teach us more about the 3 states of matter. And today they'd like to talk to us specifically about how the states of matter can change. Let's listen up. Everybody have their listening ears on? Show me your listening ears. Flop them around. Now stretch them out wide. Ready? Whoop! And turn up the volume. Turn it all the way up. Okay, you look like you're ready for some listening and some learning. Here we go.
Phew, it must be the hottest day of the year. We need to cool off. Good idea, Moby. Oh no, your ice cream is melting. What are some states of matter? Everything is made of matter. There are different states or forms of matter. Solids have their own shape. The particles that make up solids are packed close together and don't spread out or move much. Liquids flow and take the shape of their containers. The particles that make up liquids are spaced out a little more and can move around. That's why liquids can spread out more than solids. Gases also flow, but they take the whole shape of their containers. The particles that make up gases can spread out and move a lot. Matter can change from one state to another. Like your ice cream. How can a solid change into a liquid? Heat is an energy that can change matter. Your ice cream is heating up in the sun, so it melts and changes from a solid into a liquid. It's like what happens in the winter when we get a lot of ice and snow. When the temperature goes up, the ice melts and turns into water. Not everything melts when it heats up, but ice cream definitely does. I know things can heat up, but they can also cool down. How can a liquid change into a solid? When water comes out of the faucet, it's a liquid. But if you put water into a freezer, it'll turn into ice, which is a solid. When something freezes, it loses some of its heat and its temperature goes down. Water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. Water can turn into a solid, but it can also turn into a gas. How can a liquid change into a gas? Hey, the water's boiling. Spaghetti will be ready soon. Look, the water's boiling and steam is coming out of the pot. When something evaporates, it changes from a liquid to a gas. When you boil water, its temperature goes up and changes into a gas. When you hang up wet clothes, they dry because the water evaporates into the air. If a liquid can turn into a gas, How can a gas turn into a liquid? This is some heat wave. Thanks, Moby. Look, there's water on the outside of this glass. It might look like lemonade is leaking from the glass, but it's not. Water vapor is the gas state of water. And even though we usually can't see it, it's in the air. When water vapor touches a cooler surface, it can condense into a liquid. When something condenses, it changes from a gas to a liquid. I guess it's just too hot for ice cream, Moby. You refroze the ice cream? Are you really gonna eat that?
Wow, thanks Annie and Moby. You taught us so much about changing states of matter. Right now, kindergarten scientists, can you please share something that you learned from this video with someone sitting next to you? If you're at home, you can share with a family member, anyone in your house, or even your imaginary science partner. If you're in school, just share with someone who's sitting right next to you. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Share something that you learned about changing states of matter. Ready, set, go. All right, time's up. I'm going to share something that I learned. I learned that some solids turn to liquid when heat is added. Wow, that's so interesting. Like ice cream, for instance. As ice cream gets warmer, it melts, right? And then sometimes if you're holding an ice cream cone, it'll drip down your hand. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah, that's because as the temperature goes up, the ice cream changes from a solid to a liquid. Now, what state of matter is this chocolate bar? Can you call it out in 3, 2, 1? The chocolate bar is a solid. That's right. Just like all of these solids. Can we change the chocolate bar from a solid to a liquid? What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down. 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up. We can change a chocolate bar from a solid to a liquid. How can we change the chocolate bar from a solid to a liquid? Do you have any ideas? What could we do? Whisper your idea into your hand. Ready, set, go. I think that if we heat it up maybe on the stove, we could melt it down from a solid to a liquid. Okay, let's see. We could heat it up. That's right. As the temperature of the chocolate rises, I think maybe it will melt. Do you think that too? Well, we better test that. Let's find out. So to melt chocolate, you will need a chocolate bar, a metal or glass bowl to melt the chocolate inside of, and a small pot with about 1 cup of water on the stove. Or you could also use something like a candle warmer. Here's what a couple different candle warmers or wax warmers look like. So if you would like to participate in this activity from home, you'll need a grown-up with you to help you, and you can join along with me. And if you're learning in school, this could be an activity that maybe you repeat at home with an adult. Okay, so I've taken my chocolate and I've broken it into little pieces because I know that it melts faster when you do that. Now, you'll see here, this is also a cooking thermometer. And I want you to observe what happens to the temperature. The temperature right now, it's reading 70 degrees. Watch what happens to the temperature and watch what happens to the chocolate at the same time. This video was taken in what's called time lapse. That means that you'll get to see this happening a lot faster than it really happened. It took about maybe 7 or 8 minutes, but you'll see that this video is less than a minute. Okay, here we go. See, the temperature rose 1 degree from 70 to 71. Starts out rising a little bit slowly. We have to be patient. Oh, 72. It's going up. It's increasing. 73. Oh, do you see that the chocolate is already starting to melt? 75. 76. Oh my goodness. Now the temperature is rising really fast. And look at what's happening to the chocolate. Do you see how the chocolate melted as the temperature rose? So right now I want you to think, what did you notice or observe when we melted the chocolate? Think about what happened with the thermometer. What happened with the temperature as we melted the chocolate? Could you please turn and tell the person next to you what you observed or noticed? You have 10 seconds. Ready, set, go. Time's up, everybody. Eyes on me. Stop, look, and listen. Let's see if you shared the same thing that I was thinking. I noticed that as the temperature rose, the chocolate melted. Okay, so now that I have melted the chocolate and turned it from a solid to a liquid, I want to see if I could turn it back from a liquid to a solid. Do you have any ideas on how I might be able to do that? I heated it up to turn it into a liquid. What could I do to turn it back to a solid? Call out what you're thinking in 3, 2, 1. Cool it down. Yeah, maybe, I had to add heat to make it melt. Maybe if I take away heat and make it colder, maybe it'll turn back into a solid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. First, I need to pour it out. I'm going to just pour it out onto wax paper. But I want you to observe the consistency or the thickness of it as I pour it out. Ready? Here we go. Okay, so notice how I have to use a spoon to scoop it out. I'm not able to just pour it. Does not look delicious. And now I am putting it into the refrigerator right near my tortellini to cool it down, to take heat away. Okay, and just to compare this liquid with another liquid that we know, I thought that I would do the same thing with water. So now observe as I pour the water. Notice the difference between pouring out the melted chocolate and pouring out the water. Oh, it's much thinner, right? Definitely not as thick. It poured right out. I didn't need to use a spoon or anything. Okay, and now I'll put my water in the refrigerator right next to the chocolate. Kindergarten scientists, what did you observe while watching the chocolate pour versus watching the water pour? Share with someone next to you. You have 10 seconds. Ready, set, turn, and talk. Time's up. I wonder if you were thinking what I was thinking. I said the liquid chocolate was thicker, right? The water was thinner. Remember how we had to use a spoon to scoop out the chocolate? Well, with the water, we didn't do that. It just poured right out. Now, while we wait for our chocolate and our water to cool down in the refrigerator, we're going to do a movement activity. This movement activity is a Go Noodle and it's called melting. Kind of goes with our lesson for today. So stand up right now, push in your chair, and enjoy this movement activity.
Melting, melting, melting. We all have those moments when we freeze. We can't move. We can't think. But with practice, we can get good at melting that frozen feeling. Let's freeze up and then melt. Stand up in a spot with a little space around you. Cross your arms and hold your shoulders with your hands. Carefully tuck your chin down and in. Tighten as many muscles in your body as you can. Let your body be frozen, like an ice statue. Feet tight, legs tense, belly tight, shoulders up. Now, even make a frozen face. Close your eyes, your mouth, your jaw, tight. Feeling frozen? Really still? Now, little by little, begin to melt. Let your chin stay low as your face softens and melts. Your jaw opens slightly, your eyes blink open, just a little. Your mouth and cheeks melt and feel soft. You're melting. Let your shoulders melt and go down. Hands let go. Arms glide down to your sides, melting. Let your legs melt too. Soften and bend. Melt. Try to melt all the way to the floor. Down, down, down. Let yourself be a blob, a puddle on the floor. Melted all the way to soft. Exhale long. Once frozen and tight, and now melted, a little more at ease. Let's do it again. This time, choose your own frozen statue. Be creative. Freeze your arms. Freeze your legs. Freeze your face. Make a funny face if you'd like. Freeze there. Tighten. Freeze, freeze, freeze. You're frozen. Close your eyes or keep them open. Stay frozen for just one more moment. Ready to melt? One icy part of you at a time begins to melt. Face, eyes, jaw, head, chin goes down, shoulders drop, fingers soften and droop, hands too, arms float down. You are melting. Let your legs allow you to melt down to the floor. Melt, 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 droop, settle, and rest. Melted. Try to feel at ease here. Soft. Check in on your body. Is any area still frozen? Notice that tightness. Melt it if you wish. Rest here. Breathe. Eyes are open or closed. Next time you feel frozen, in your mind or in your body, try to melt it away.
I just feel so good after doing that melting activity. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're not already in your seat, you can sit back down. It's time for us to check on our chocolate and our water that we put in the refrigerator to cool down. Let's see what happened to them both. Ready to make some observations, scientists? Here we go. Okay, so there's the chocolate. Oh, look at that. I had to peel it off the parchment paper. What state of matter is it now? Solid, liquid, or gas? Yes, the chocolate is a solid. You're right. Now, what about the water? Let's take a look at the water. Do you think that the water is also a solid? Or is it still a liquid? Call it out in 3, 2, 1. You think a liquid? Let's observe. Oh, look. See how it rolls right off? It flows right off, right? Yes, it is still liquid. And now look, I'm pouring it back onto the parchment paper. See how it drips? It's not holding its own shape. It's certainly still a liquid. So now I want you to turn and talk to somebody next to you and discuss what did you observe after taking the chocolate and the water out of the refrigerator. You have 10 seconds. Go ahead and share. Ready, set, go. Time's up. Stop, look, and listen. Let's see if you shared what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking. The chocolate had turned back into a solid, but the water was still a liquid. So isn't that so interesting? We put them both in the refrigerator, but the liquid stayed a liquid where the chocolate turned back into a solid. What does that tell us about liquids? Do all liquids turn into a solid at the same temperature? No, right? Liquids are all different and they all have different what's called freezing points or points where they turn back into a solid. All right, kindergarten scientists, I have some good news for you. It's time for yet another experiment. This one involves ice. Is ice a solid or a liquid? Call it out in 3, 2, 1. It's a solid. That's correct. Ice is a solid. We know it's a solid because it holds its own shape, unlike a liquid. A liquid you can pour. With ice, when you go to pour it, it keeps its own shape. It doesn't flow like water does. It is a solid, indeed. All right, so let me show you how this experiment will work. You will need 2 Ziploc bags, each with an ice cube. Okay, so if you're at home, if you don't have this set up already, you can pause the video and go and get your 2 Ziploc bags and put 1 ice cube in each. If you're in school, your teacher will give it to you. Now, your teacher might give you one and maybe your partner sitting next to you another rather than giving you 2. Your teacher will decide. So, the ice in bag number 1 here, I'm just going to leave that alone. I'm not going to touch it. The ice in bag number 2, I'm going to hold it in my hands. My hand is warmer than the ice, so I'm going to hold it in my hand. I'm going to move it around and see if I can warm it up. What I want to see is if the ice cube that I warm in my hand will melt faster than the ice cube that I leave alone, that I don't touch, that I don't warm up with my hand. Now, while we warm one of the ice cubes up in our hand, we're going to listen to this song. It's called Hot, Hot, Hot. It's a really fun song. So once the song is over, we'll see how our ice cubes look. We'll see if the one that we held in our hands and warmed in our hands melted faster than the other. Right now, you can pause the video here and click on that blue button up in the top right-hand corner to listen to the song Hot, Hot, Hot. Enjoy. Welcome back, kindergarten scientists. Let's take a look here. Wonder if you found what I found. My first ice cube, look, it's still an ice cube. It barely melted at all. I mean, maybe it melted a tiny bit, but take a look at my second ice cube. Can you see? It's completely liquid now. It has completely melted after holding it in my hand during that song. Did you find the same thing with your two ice cubes? Thumbs up if you did. Cool. So now it's time for our activity sheet. If you're at home, you'll find this in your Google Classroom. If you're in school, your teacher will give it to you. Let's read what it says. It says, Kindergarten Science Unit 2, Lesson 2, can temperature change the state of matter? The directions say, draw a picture of both ice cubes after 4 minutes. So that song, Hot, 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 that song was about 4 minutes. So this side says ice cube that was not touched. So I would draw my solid ice cube that was not touched. There's just a little bit of melted water in there, but for the most part, it's still an ice cube. I would draw that here. Then I would draw the ice cube that was warmed with my hand. And look, it's just liquid. So I would draw my baggie with the liquid inside. Then last but not least, we need to answer this question. It says, which ice cube melted faster? Can you answer that question into your hands right now? Okay, here's what I said. I said, the ice cube that was warmed in my hands melted faster. Did you say the same thing? All right, so you want to write those words down as best you can. Thank you so much for learning with me today. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Have a great day, everyone. Keep being curious.